And so this proposition is going to protect four interests in the school district. It's going to protect our teachers and staff for retention and future pay raises. It's going to allow us to secure a lot of the special ed initiatives that we have right now. And then finally, we always lead with safety and security. One of the things that we did differently in safety and security is we have our own ASOs. Those are our armed security officers that have to go through extensive training. These aren't just people with weapons. They are trained.
So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the GRS Community Impact. This is a group that these are a couple of people here. I've got Sheena Sharapata right beside me. She is the co-host, and this is an idea that we came up with as community servants within the communities we serve, which is Garland, Rowlett, and Sachse, hence the name GRS Community Impact. I'm here today not as a banker, not as a trustee of the school board, but I'm here as a personal individual who's really interested in getting the good and positive word of our community out. Sheena, why don't you introduce yourself, and then we'll go with Dr. Lopez.
Yeah, so I'm Sheena Sharapata with Planet Ford 635 and been working there 10 years. Obviously, we do a lot in the community for veterans, first responders, and kids. And as we had just mentioned, a couple years ago, I had not even heard of the Garland 9th Street Gym Project. So I'm like, if I'm involved in the community and didn't know about this, how can we get the word out there more for these businesses, nonprofits, Garland ISD kids' accomplishments to just share, and also to produce this media, which is 100% volunteer, no cost to anyone on the show, that they can then share on their outlets to help their businesses or nonprofits grow.
And we are here today, and we're blessed to have the superintendent of the Garland Independent School District, serves Garland, Rowlett, and Sachse. We have Dr. Rick Lopez, who has been with us now for 8 years?
It's about 8 years.
He's been with the school district for about 8 years, and the positive change that we've seen over that 8 years, I can tell you as a observant in the community, as a member of the community, it's been a great positive change. So welcome, Dr. Lopez.
Welcome.
Thank you. What an honor to be here. And, I appreciate both of you doing this because the way modern marketing has happened, it drowns out the local newspapers. And so all of a sudden, all the great news that was going out in the Tri-City area, they're not getting that anymore. And so we need a medium to highlight the greatness of Garland. Otherwise, we get drowned out by just bigger areas around us, and there's a lot to celebrate.
There's a lot to celebrate, and we're going to let you do that. There are a lot of important things that go on within our community. You represent 50,000 students and basically 7,000 employees. So it's the biggest entity in town, and it's a tremendous responsibility. We're so glad to have you here. But why don't you fill us in on some of the things that you are currently working on?
Oh, my goodness. Where do we start? The district is really vast and deep, having 3 cities, and all 3 cities are shining. I do believe that every area has its time to shine, and we just got to capitalize when those things happen. And ironically, that Bush corridor right there with Rowlett, Sachse, and Garland, there's a lot of cool things going on from, of course, great restaurants and future buildings to come that we can't talk about yet, to just the re-infrastructure that we've done with Bond 2023 and the new schools and the consolidations that are going through. We got a big proposition on the table, and the proposition is for the people in our district. It's not the buildings. And, to finalize, we got some really great achievements to highlight from each of our campuses. We're really shining in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and it's because of what's happening at each and every campus. We're a big district. We have 50,000 students and 67 campuses and everything in between. So, The schools are getting it done.
So tell us more about this Proposition A. Tell us fill us in on how we got here, what led to this, the impact of the state and the legislature, or the lack of impact from the state and the legislature within the funding mix of the school districts, and kind of tell us why we are here at this point.
I know you're doing this as just a regular citizen,
I am.
Mr. Miller, but you're also a board member, and you have a really deep understanding of finances. And that was one of your catalysts to get on the board, was to be able to look and see if the spending is done right. And so I remember when we first started connecting, you started talking about how convoluted and complicated that the education finance system is. So this isn't just like for anybody to really understand on maybe a 5-minute explanation. But in a nutshell, what the state does is give us target revenue. And so they give us so much per student, and it stays that way. So as appraisal values go up and people think they're giving more money to the school district like they do in the city, right? That doesn't happen with school districts. For when you put in more money, the state takes it away to keep us at that exact same target. And so what ends up happening is over time, since 2019, we've had inflation costs, cost of living increases. We're in a very competitive market in North Texas. And so we don't want to lose our people. And we tried this proposition in 2020 to get in front of what we knew was coming, right? We could see the train coming down the road, but it was a complicated time. The messaging on our part wasn't as clear as we hoped, and we lost narrowly 52 to 48. And now, with all the federal funds that came in, the board was brilliant in saying, let's not spend it, let's nest it to get us to 2025. So then when this proposition reemerges, we at least can make it to that point. But right now, we're at an impasse. And that impasse means we're going to have to make some critical decisions on programs, people, and while this proposition doesn't solve all of that, it really solves like 90% of it. So this is not something we just want. This is a need.
So when you talk about needs, tell the public the general demographic and the kind of the way the district sits now and what the kind of special needs of the district.
You know, in Garland ISD, we're really excited because we say we're built different since 1901. We've always been built different. You go to old Garland, you go to people just moving in, and it's just this beautiful attitude that no matter what obstacles in our way, we're going to overcome it. We're not afraid to outwork you and outthink you. And you don't find that in every community. My dad was in the military, so I was a military brat. We moved all around. This is unique to Garland. And it's one of the things that me and my family love. We consider this home now, right? And so when we're approaching our needs, we got to remember we are diverse. We have over 70 languages spoken. About 72 to 75, it depends on the year, percent of our kids fall into the economically disadvantaged meter. So we're a high poverty district. But we perform. We're a solid B. We've never been below a B since I've been here. Regardless of what people projected and what people say about kids of poverty, we always overcome that. When we look at how big our district is, it's about 100 square miles. And we have, I call ourselves a purple district because we have every political entity in that whole district. And they bring their children to us expecting them to be educated the first time. And so we accept that challenge. And we want people to choose Garland. We want people to come in and have that faith that no matter what zip code I'm in or my background, my child is going to thrive, and the results are speaking for themselves.
So if you're a taxpayer within the communities, the GRS communities, and you've been watching your property value go up, you might have mentioned this briefly, but you've been watching your property values go up, and so therefore you've been writing a larger and larger check for school taxes every year, and it has always been the largest element of taxation. Mm-hmm. It's higher than the county, higher than the city. It's always been that way. But why don't you talk about the assumption that if we're paying more, then the schools must be getting wealthy? Make sure everybody understands how the funding formula works, because as my understanding is, the schools get zero new funding as property taxes go up.
Yeah, it's kind of sad because, I'm a property owner too. And the last thing I like is new taxes. I'm a person that tries to avoid all those things at all costs. But because I'm in the system, I realize that for every dollar I'm putting in more, the state is contributing that much less. So it keeps us at the exact same amount. And it's kind of like, imagine having a bucket and you're pouring in all this water, but the state's drawing it in, but keeping the water. So when you see all the reserves that are hitting the state right now, part of it is from these taxes. And while some people will say, well, why can't you make ends meet? That's a lot of money. Well, you're talking about a very complex system. You're talking about transportation that's more complicated than a city transportation, right? You're talking about, we serve about 500,000 meals per month. You're talking about the amount of students that are in a classroom. You could save money by putting 40 kids in a classroom, but that doesn't help learning. That doesn't help teachers. That doesn't recruit teachers. And then you start looking at all the activities, and you start looking at our early college programs, and you start looking at that beautiful tech center. All of that are investments that we have to use to make ends meet. The great part, though, we did an audit, and the audit showed that we are spending more money than comparative districts on student needs, and we're generating less from our tax roll. So while we're generating less, we're giving more of that directly to the students. So the money that they're putting in will go directly to kids. And the great thing about this proposition is, I was explaining to a citizen that if the state didn't want us to do it, they wouldn't put an incentive. There's an incentive here. So this would generate 41 million, and the state said we're going to incentivize that with 15 more million. So you're looking at about $56 million proposition, 41 from the contributors, and the incentivization of 15 more million. So the state sees the needs. The state wants the local property owners to make the decision, and the state says, if you do it, we're going to incentivize you. So that's why we're going to this prop to make ends meet.
So, if you've got a question, jump
No,
right
I'm
in.
learning.
Sheena. But, to me as a taxpayer or as a parent with a student, you tell me how this helps my kid.
Oh my goodness. Well, we all know that thriving schools will create thriving communities. And one of the things that we have to understand is part of the reason our values are going up is because we have a thriving school system. If nobody wanted to move there, we've seen what has happened and how communities have been devastated when they don't invest in their schools. And I'm not going to point out local communities that we could point to right now, but we've seen it firsthand, and nobody wants that to happen. But we have to understand too that we're the biggest employer in the Tri-City area. We have over 7,500 employees. Chances are that you have somebody that's in your neighborhood that works for the GISD. And if this proposition wasn't on the table, we're looking at probably a minimum of 1,000 layoffs, and that's going to devastate an entire community. And then try to retain teachers that are going to be asked to do more. Try to recruit people that are going to be asked to do more, and you're not going to get the best of the best. If you're able to recruit, it's either somebody that's just from here that just loves us to pieces and is willing to forego extra money, or it's somebody that can't find a job anywhere else. And so we don't want to take that risk. And so this proposition is going to protect 4 interests in the school district. It's going to protect our teachers and staff for retention and future pay raises. It's going to allow us to secure a lot of the special ed initiatives that we have right now. So this is a protection. So some people will say, well, that's a law. You have to offer special ed. We do, but not to the degree that we have. You can increase class sizes. You can change programming. We have probably the best dyslexia department in the nation, and we don't want to have to change our curriculum. Mm-hmm. We don't want to have to all of a sudden change the class sizes in dyslexia just to make ends meet. And then finally, we always lead with safety and security. One of the things that we did differently in safety and security is we have our own ASOs, those are our armed security officers that have to go through extensive training. These aren't just people with weapons. They are trained. We have seen communities, how can I put this? We've seen communities that have officers on site that didn't react as quickly as they needed to in time of huge crisis. While we can't guarantee anything in our schools, the more we train our people, the faster we are to mitigate any type of a response that's needed. We don't want to go to a separate agency and just save tons of money and say, well, just bring in your your security officers that you have without the same training, without the same background protocol. A lot of these people wouldn't pass our backgrounds. That's why they're in these lower cost areas. And so to me, that I need to protect children all the time. And it starts with our ASO program.
Well, some of the fantastic news that I've heard and read about lately has been around STAR testing, campus improvements, A-rated campuses. Why don't you give us kind of a summary of what STAR has meant for the GISD over the past year?
Accountability, when I discuss, there's people that don't believe in accountability. And I said, you can only say you don't believe in it when you get straight A's, right? And so we're working towards that. We have 23 A's. There's a debate between me and the students. I say those numbers reflect Michael Jordan, and they said no, LeBron's the GOAT. But either way, that big 23 has a great symbol. But most importantly, we have 0 F campuses. And for a district as diverse as we are and as big as we are, that's a huge accomplishment. We have 4 A high schools. Now, no failing high schools, no D high schools. That is another huge accomplishment. So we are thriving under this A through F system. We're a solid B as a district, and we're looking at making greater gains for the upcoming years. But that's a tone to the hard work going with the principals and the teachers. That's a tone to the parents believing in the vision and making sure they follow the plan. And that's why this proposition is so important, because it's really focusing on the people doing the work each and every day at the campus level. They're the ones that the P is for people. So that's where this proposition is coming from.
So, Dr. Lopez, we got a couple of minutes left.
Okay.
What excites you every day when you get up?
I'm going to tell you the love for children. I will tell you, I didn't grow up in Garland. My dad was in the military, so we jumped around for about 20 years before he retired. He was in the Air Force, and we nestled in his hometown of El Paso. And in that, I lived in Guam, California. I was born in Kansas City. I went to schools in different places, right? And through that, I was pretty much an honor kid, GT kid type of thing. But then all of a sudden, when we nestled in El Paso, there was some people on the other side, not in my honors classes, that were having a lot of fun. And I wanted to go see what that was about. And I got to understand a different side of the human element. And so many times we're focusing on the 90%. The top 10%, we're leaving 90% behind. And I watched some of my friends fall through the cracks just because of the way the school system was built. And I got into the school system to change all that. And I think what makes me unique is I'm always looking at it through different lenses. I don't want to bring the standard down for the kids that are thriving. But at the same time, I want high accountability and impact for the kids that maybe haven't seen the purpose in school yet. And that's what excites me. When we go to the GRCTC and we find out that we have a 96% rating in CCMR, that's College Career Military Readiness, the only one ahead of us by a smidge is Highland Park. I want you to think about that. We're competing with Highland Park on how our kids are doing beyond high school. When I go in and I look at the early colleges that we started at every school, that was mind-blowing at the time when we did it. And nobody understood it, and the board got behind it, and all of a sudden, we have the highest percentage of kids graduating with associate's degrees in the state. And then we start looking at how much money we're saving parents and time we're saving kids. And some of our kids are coming straight out of the GRCTC with their endorsements and their certifications, making more money than teachers.
How many kids are in the dual credit and early college programs?
We're looking at, I think, 4,500, not including dual credit. Dual credit will go much more, but just early college and P-TECHs, 4,500. So we're looking at some bigger than some districts and bigger than some private universities.
Yes.
And that's what excites me, because let's go back to the beginning. It's a district that does have poverty lines. It's a district that needs the school system to help get their kids out of that generational hoop that seems always moving for them. And so what we've done is try to do everything possible to get every kid through there so the parent struggles that they had to get them to the best schools, which are Garland, and I will go toe-to-toe with anybody on that. they will see the fruits of their labor and the sacrifices they made so their children can thrive. And really, I think all of us, that's what we want. We want our children to thrive. And so when you ask what gets me awake in the morning is two things. I know it's a long answer. First thing is I am hypercritical of myself on everything that I fall short on. I'm no one can be harder on me than me. And my wife will tell you that. And so I wake up with a list of things that I'm going to go after that next day. And that list shrinks and another one grows. And that list shrinks and another one grows. The second thing is talking to families who have seen the change in Garland and have said, wow, these are not the schools that we grew up on. You just changed the trajectory of my entire family. And this happened at one of the graduations at Naaman Forest. Mm-hmm. We had a grandfather never graduated and the family never graduated from high school. Even though they went to Garland schools, their kids didn't graduate. Their granddaughter graduated with an associate's and a diploma. And they said, and then she's going to college already. In one swipe, she just shattered everything that's been in their family for the good. Wow. So you could tell I get passionate about that.
There are tons of those examples.
Yes.
So as I said here, and we know what excites you when you get up, tell me how you think freedom of choice schools benefits the district.
You know, it's a complex matter because a lot of people say they want choice, and it's very hard if you don't understand what choices you're making, right? And so I really feel that we have so many different programs in our district that choice does help, right? But having people understand is a hurdle that we're trying to overcome. We made a big stride, and it comes with that blessing of getting people more involved. Also comes with some heartaches because we had so many more people make choices this year on all our marketing that it meant less kids got what they chose, right? So now our percentage went down because more people are actively engaged in it. So we got to do a better job of still balancing and create a lot of frustration, right? Like my kid didn't get their first, second, or third pick in some cases. Well, we had a record amount of people making choices now. And some of them weren't informed. And that's where we got to do a better job of. So when I say uninformed is they're making like choices for magnet schools and they don't realize they have to qualify for those. And so then there's some heartbreak there, right? And they'll say, well, my teacher said I could get in. Well, the teacher isn't the determining factor. It's all these other tests that you have to take. Yeah. And so we got to do a better job of that. But the more we expand the choice criteria and getting people knowing really what's involved and what's at stake, the better off we're going to be. But I will tell you, I have met parents that have 3 different kids in 3 different high schools because of choice.
I believe it. And when I did Leadership at Garland, that's where I learned about choice. And I was like, I'd never heard of that before. I went to school in Plano. And then coming from Planet Ford 635 to see that these students could go to a technical school or go to South Garland for automotive. And then some of these students are, like you said, are graduating with a 2-year degree, an automotive degree, and can go to work right away as an 18-year-old. I'm like, this is incredible.
You know, and it's funny that you bring up Plano because Plano is a very affluent area. They have about 30% economically disadvantaged. Well, they're in the 30s, right? And that's high from what they have been before. And we outperform them as a district, but we also have more opportunities. And so our opportunities are in that GRCTC at every campus, the early college, you know. Some of the benefits that we have is being in Dallas County for these opportunities. But when you're in Collin, that university system hasn't evolved to have the impact as Dallas College. So when you go into these Collin County districts, and I'm not picking on Plano, I'm just using that as an example, they don't have the partnerships like we do because they haven't built those, right? Because it's a 2-part system. You could say you want it, but if your county college is not going to offer it or doesn't have the infrastructure for it, it just falls on deaf ears. So we're really fortunate. Dallas College has been a great partner. We got to give a huge shout out to them.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you've been a great partner too. We're blessed to have you here. I'm going to have you finish one last thing. I just thought of it. Why don't you go ahead? We did a bond in 2023, and we are well underway. Why don't you give a quick summary of where we are with however, I can't even count the number of bond initiatives that are underway, but why don't you summarize that for us?
So real quick, we got the first thing we finished within the first year of the bond is all the protective security film at every campus. That was done. That was a priority. Playgrounds are already going up. Kids are celebrating those playgrounds. We got 2 playgrounds at every elementary school.
Now, why do you have 2 playgrounds at one elementary school?
Well, we have littles and bigs, right? And sometimes the bigs can push around the littles, not on purpose, but they're all running around, and it deters them from enjoying the playground. So we decided to have one for age appropriateness and just have K through 2 in the other, 3 through 5 on the other side, and let the kids play. We also have the indoor facilities going up. There's rumors that we're air conditioning the indoor facility. No, there are these huge fans that go in. And it keeps it really, really cool, but it's not air conditioned. But these are going on at all 7 high schools. Every baseball and softball field has been completed except for Garland High, but demolition is now starting right on Williams Stadium. We're actually now going to make it a complex for our Garland High students. They've never had that. Mm-hmm. And this is a testament to the vision of the board. They said, man, our kids are traveling anywhere. They don't get a home field. They don't get a home complex. And so you're going to see right by Williams Stadium, that's where the indoor facility is going to go. And then we're going to move the baseball, softball fields right there. And why is that important? Well, if you need the indoor facility, you should be able to walk from the indoor facility to your practice area. Mm-hmm. And they're going to have a feel like no other. It's going to be brand new. We're very excited about that. You've already seen some buildings torn down for our consolidation projects. The last consolidation is going to be announced shortly. But we've made a number of consolidations across the district, and it's been well supported because the community really thinks it's a bonus. But those are just a few of the things. Pardon our dirt, but I mean, campus by campus, they're going to say, you forgot this, you forgot that. We have a lot going on.
We really do. So, Sheena, as you can tell, I'm a fan of Dr. Lopez.
Thank you.
When it comes to being a human individual, I'm his wingman. We have different roles within the school district. I'm a trustee and he's superintendent, and I'm actually his boss in that scenario. But I call him boss because he has done such a great job of building an awesome team of administration and below over the past 8 years. And it's been an excellent experience to have the depths of COVID
right
where we were.
Oh, my goodness.
And to look up and see that we're an 84 rated solid B district and way above almost every school district around us, and especially anybody with our demographic makeup.
Right.
The demographic composition that we have and the accomplishments of the district, I can tell you from everything I've read, are above par to everyone. So we're very appreciative to have you within the district. You have any last words?
Yes, I'm just learning. I was learning today, but I will say, compared to when I went to high school, what I love is just the Gilbert Reed and the openness. I'm actually going back Wednesday, last time, to go talk to the marketing business students. And we spoke about this before, but they let me teach them LinkedIn and making a profile and building a network now in the industry they want to be in so they can have that following and the right contacts for the industry that they want to be in. And I'm like, if you can start doing that when you're 16 and 17, look where you'll be when you're my age. Right. I just figured it out. But I just think that's so unique that the district allows speakers to come in and to share those personal experiences. And then the kids students write letters back, and just to hear what they say, that you can mix your passion and your career together. They didn't realize you could do that. And just to read the letters. But I just always think that's just such a blessing to have, that y'all allow the speakers to come in like that to educate the kids.
And the most beautiful part of all these beautiful buildings are the people in them.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's the students or the teacher leading the program, that's what makes Garland built different.
Yep.
Right? And so I thank you. The board's vision, they have high standards. I will tell you that. And I don't think it's people don't understand until you're in the seat, but it's their high expectations that really drive how we do things. And so it starts with the board, and the ones that are doing all the work are the people. They're wonderful.
Well, thank you so much. We're gonna cut it off now. I am gonna hold up a flyer. This is for the 10th annual Wheels of Hope car show benefiting the Hope Clinic. It'll be held downtown Garland on October 18th. Go to www.wheelsofhopegarland.com. You'll find all the details you need. This has been great.
Yes, thank you.
We'll have you back again because there's like 40 other topics that we need to go over.
It'll be fun.
That
It'll be
will
fun.
but we want you to be a frequent visitor to our studio here, and we're so glad to have you today. So thank you, Dr. Lopez.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.